India's it's a complicated story. There's not the history can be pretty ugly. I mean, the caste system in India is just a hideous disgrace. Last time I visited India and Pakistan, and you remember, and going from Calcutta to Lahore, the difference was shocking. I don't have to go through it. It wasn't pretty. There's a lot of wealth in India, tremendous wealth, a lot of enlightenment, and a lot of awful things. It's the mixture of the most extreme mixture of wealth, high culture, enlightenment, and hideous poverty and disgraceful existent living standards that I've ever seen. Maybe you see something like it in a small sort of, Central Africa, but this is a huge country. So it's a very mixed story. Right now, there's a regression
We have exchanges of artillery fire across the line of control practically every day. And then on the other hand, Pakistan has gone in for tactical nuclear weapons, which are relatively easy to use and very hard to control. And similarly, India is going in for nuclear submarines and nuclear launch ballistic missiles and so forth. Now, things seem to be getting very dangerous here, but it's even more dangerous in North Korea, where there's such a tense nuclear standoff at the moment, with the North Korean regime developing missiles and even a hydrogen bomb. How do you see this panning out? Are things in our control anymore?
Well, we have to take each case on its own. Take India and Pakistan. As you say, India developed nuclear weapons. Pakistan then responded. I mean, as long as Pakistan tries to match India militarily, Pakistan they just can't compete with India. They can't match India. The only way they can nuclear weapons program, which is a devastating threat not only to South Asia but to the world. So how did Pakistan at first? Are you still hearing me? Because it says your internet.
Yes.
You can. Well, at first the United States opposed Indian nuclear weapons development, and at least formally it did so up until the George Bush administration, which decided to support it. Various trickery, which we don't have to go through, but it ended up effectively giving U.S. support for Indian nuclear weapons, and indeed twisting the arms of the International Nuclear Control Group to get them to kind of authorize it. And what about Pakistan? In the 1980s, under Zia-ul-Haq, Pakistan began to develop nuclear weapons. The Reagan administration pretended that they didn't know. It's inconceivable that they didn't know, with all their intelligence assets in Pakistan. Defies belief. But they pretended they didn't know, because they wanted to keep funding Pakistan to carry out their policies in Afghanistan. It had nothing to do with helping the Afghans. The CIA chief in Islamabad, as you may recall, made that very explicit. He said, "We're not there to help the Afghans. We want to harm the Russians. We want to make the Russians bleed." So for that, they destroyed Afghanistan and watched silently while Pakistan developed nuclear weapons. Now, the basic conflict, correct me if you think this is wrong, but it seems to me the basic India-Pakistan conflict is probably over Kashmir. And until that's settled in some fashion, and I think you can imagine settlements, actually Iqbal Ahmed had sensible proposals for settlement. I think they could be pursued. If they could be pursued, then maybe India and Pakistan could relax the military confrontation and maybe move towards what ought to happen all through the world, and has partially happened already, the setting up of nuclear weapons-free zones. You could imagine moving to a South Asian nuclear weapons-free zone.